Those who drink the water I will give them will never thirst. The water that I give will become in them a spring of water gushing up to eternal life. Thank you, God. Thank you, Deepak, for giving me this opportunity to share. Last night when I had dinner, I was sitting with Dee Dee and Brian, and I said I wanted to change the format of my talk today. And the reason I wanted to change it is because I feel there's such a spiritual awakening. It's a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I wanted to change my format to tell you a little bit about myself. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about the world problem. Jordan will speak about it later, but we all know that about 1.2 billion people are without access to safe drinking water. And by 2050, approximately 50% of the world's population will not have safe drinking water. In the past 10 years, diarrhea, and therefore dehydration, has killed more children worldwide than all the people lost to armed conflict since World War II. Many developing countries have over 50% of their populations are children under 15. What we're talking about, of course, is a plight of our planet, and of course it's a plight for everyone, but it's particularly a plight for children. And it's something that we have to do something about. So I pondered the format, and I'm going to indulge you and tell you a little bit about my life's journey. I've never done this quite in a talk, but I want to share this with you. As some of you know, I've had the privilege to work with many gifted teams and be involved in many game-changing businesses. I was fortunate enough to work with the two doctors who invented alpha-hydroxy acids, which are now currently in about 40% of all skincare products in the world. And I was fortunate to head up their licensing program throughout the world. We're in about 88 countries now. I had the privilege to work with John Bello, my partner, in Sobe beverages, which you may know, may not, but I hope you drink it. It was the fastest growing beverage company ever, anywhere, any place. We grew it from $0 to $250 million in less than 4 years. We were really fortunate. We had a wonderful team. I also worked a lot with nanotechnology in its earliest stages. But the most important work that I did that relates to our conversation today is I helped found a company called KX. And KX was a joint venture with Exxon. And what we did is we invented and supplied the first pure filters, which eventually was purchased by Procter & Gamble, and it's the pure filter today. We also invented and supplied the first Brita end of tap filter, and invented and supplied the first refrigerator water filter for Electrolux and Frigidaire. The reason I tell you that is because I've learned a lot about water, and I learned a lot about point-of-use water, particularly as it's implied when it says point of use, it really means point of consumption. After selling KX, I had one of the most important moments of my life. I had minor surgery, and for the first time in my life, in a way, I had a few weeks to settle down and to think. I prayed a lot. Basically, I realized that I had a wonderful family, I had wonderful business partners and teams, but clearly I had a responsibility to do something. I could have a shot to get to heaven. I needed to find a way that God would lead me to come to heaven. You see, my brother had just died unexpectedly, and he was my spiritual brother. He taught me the Bible, and he taught me so many other values in my life. See, my immigrant father died when I was 11. My mother was handicapped. So I went to work at 12 to support myself. I paid for my high school education, and to support my mother as my brother went off to college. What could I do to provide spiritual nourishment to eventually join my brother in heaven? I've always believed in the following, and I talk to many children in the schools in New York. We all, you, can achieve the impossible. You have to break it into possible steps. You see, the harder you work, the luckier you get. My greatest passion is to help less fortunate children. The Water Initiative will achieve the impossible. We're addressing the poisoning of the planet's children and adults. First thing we had to do is we recruited a first-class team. Some of the top scientists, Robert Langer, the most decorated scientist in the United States, etc., businessmen, etc. But even before that, I needed to change my own paradigm. I had to get my mind and body ready for this work. Quite frankly, I realized that I would be walking slums and not walking golf courses. Next, I needed to wait for a sign from God. My minister, Dan Stratton, called me up right around the same time. It's hard to believe. He said, Kevin, I have an audience, a meeting with the First Lady of Mexico, Mrs. Calderon, and she wants to meet some U.S. entrepreneurs to understand a little bit of what they can do in Mexico to help with entrepreneurship. I looked up, I smiled, I said, here I go. At that first meeting with the First Lady, I said to her, I said, if I could bring a finest team, not the finest, but a great team of businessmen and scientists to Mexico first to address your severe water problems, which are representative of the most severe problems in the world, you would ask me to come, wouldn't you? She said, of course. I said, I need your help. I need to meet with the National Water Commission. I need to meet with Conagua. I need to meet with the head. I have to work top down and bottom up. She set up that meeting. And unexpectedly at that meeting, she called in and asked to be put on the squawky. And she said, this meeting is important to the future of Mexico. Please pay attention to these gentlemen. Basically, 3 years later, Jose Ramon Ardevin, the head of drinking water in Mexico, wrote an official memorandum from the government of Mexico. We believe that the point of drinking solutions that the Water Initiative has created and deployed in Mexico can form an integral part of Mexico and any nation's water quality improvement strategy. We're the only certified water in-home units in Mexico. 2 months ago, the state of Durango, the governor is such a bold man, and the head of water, Miguel Calderon, basically they made a decision. They ruled that for the first time in history, anywhere in the world, point-of-use units, in-home units, point-of-consumption units would go into the homes of all their citizens in their entire state, and they rejected central treatment because it was inefficient and too expensive. I'm proud to tell you that the head of infrastructure for GE called me up, Alan Henchman, and he said, you're making water history today. Congratulations. You now have, this is now the opening for decentralized water. Now, what are we talking about? What's the competition, and why are we changing the paradigm? Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, the 20th century was the story of bottled water and central treatment plants. Hopefully the 21st century will not. We all know the problems of bottled water, environmentally, harmful to you, etc., BPAs, the whole 9 yards. Basically, bottled water is not even regulated. 40% of bottled water is from the tap. There's no regulations. There are institutions, University of Vermont just came out last week and outlawed it. San Francisco, various cities, etc. You've read the papers. I know this is a very astute crowd. Okay? Now, what's the issue? Let me just get back here. This is really what I want you to learn. This is amazing. One of the fellows on my board, I'm honored to have him on my board, is Hugh Fleming, Global Director of Global Water for Hatch Engineering. They install your desal plants. He instructed me and taught me so much. Blows me away. Of the 100 liters that goes into a central treatment plant, by and large, between 25% and 1/3 goes out with the discharge. And you know, my friends, that discharge is worse than the water that goes in. One, it's more concentrated, and two, it's got the chemicals that took out the contaminants back in that water. Of the remaining 75%, whatever, about 50% of that water leaks out of the pipes. And in most parts of the world, that water pipe runs right alongside that sanitation pipe, the old British system. When you have leakage from the water, you have leakage into the sanitation, and vice versa. Then the last third gets to your home. Most of that is used for showers, washing machines. Only 1 to 2% of the water that is cleaned in that treatment plant is actually used for drinking and cooking, and yet 80% of the cost of that water treatment plant is to make the water drinkable. Now here's the last one. This will blow you away. Blew me away. EPA study 2008. I'll tell you one other thing. That last 2%, it's recontaminated because of that leakage, but also because a lot of the enemies of water are in those pipes. Roberto Contreras, head of operations in Mexico, comes in and he says, Kevin, you guys were right. I said, what do you mean? He says, the whole world, we measure water at the central treatment plant. We decided to start measuring water at the home. You're right, the water's recontaminated. We have to have point of use. We have to have it in the home. So basically, what we're talking about is a new paradigm. A new paradigm, a 21st century paradigm in water. We need to understand that point of use. The closer to your lips you clean the water, the more you can eliminate waterborne diseases. And I make this statement, this is in my talks around wherever I go. Just as cell phones, and thank you, Aaron, for telling us about it yesterday, just as cell phones facilitated billions of people to leapfrog telecommunications equipment, it's our opinion that point-of-use systems in-home will allow billions of people to leapfrog bottled water and water treatment plants. So basically, our mission is different. We're the only company in the world that basically we say that the water in Montana, Mumbai, Mexico City, and Monterey is all different. You can't have a silver bullet. People say, I got a technology. I say, great, tell us about it and we can integrate it. We're an integrator. But the water is all different. So the first thing you have to do is be a doctor. You have to go in and analyze and diagnose. Once you diagnose, you have to have a first-class team of scientists to understand how to develop that solution for that locale. Northern Mexico requires a different solution, believe it or not, than Southern Mexico. Northern Mexico is arsenic. Southern Mexico and pathogens. Everything is pathogens, every part of the world. Middle Mexico, Southern Mexico, they have extreme fluoride. So basically, our mission is 3 Ds. Diagnose, develop, and deploy. What we do is we basically we have a mantra. Local issues require local solutions. And that's what we do. I want to get to the film that we have so we make sure we have time and Deepak doesn't get mad at me. Okay? So basically, I want to show you one other thing, though. We had a bidding process for 1 year to get that state to decide, to make history. We had press lying about myself, lying about us, saying that we were bribing the head of water. We had threats on our life, etc. And basically, we all knew that we were doing something special here, that we could make history. And thank you, God, that we were able to do that. And we proved that we are 1/3 the cost across the board of any central treatment plant and far more effective. Our filters literally last for 5 years, and it's not one filter, it's a system. And they cost less than $20 a day, in case you're worried about how much it costs. In Africa, we can produce ones for probably less than $10 a year, I should say, not a day. I'm sorry, $20 a year. They don't require any electricity, and they're completely, all the water that goes through it is cleaned. It's a miracle. I certainly didn't produce that miracle. My team of scientists did. So basically, what I'd like to do now is I want to show you a film, and I want you to take a look at this film because this is a little bit about what we did in Mexico. Juan, would you show us that film, please? And of course, there's 7 billion people now in the world.
The world's population is 6.3 billion people. Right now, at least 20 to 25% of those people do not have access to clean drinking water.
5,000 children a day that are dying. I mean, you can't think of a more severe problem.
2 billion or more people lack access to safe drinking water.
88% of all sicknesses in the world are derived from waterborne diseases. 50% of the hospital beds in the world are occupied by people with waterborne diseases. This is such an issue, the #1 public health issue in the world. More people die of waterborne diseases than all communicable diseases, HIV, all of them combined.
And there's issues on all sides of it, the water delivery and the essence of the water that's undrinkable in the first place.
So you can't have a solution of a big water plant. You have to have the last mile of water. You have to have point-of-use solutions where in your home you can safeguard your family by having clean water.
From our point of view, the only way that can be done is through an enterprise-based approach.
We're employing what's called a base of the pyramid protocol.
And this is an organized business process to build a set of community partners in actually co-creating the business.
Water changes from country to country, from province to province. We have to understand each issue in each country and this way address those as best we can.
You have to go to each place. South Africa's not like Rwanda, you know, or Senegal. Each one has a whole separate situation with every element. You've got to go to know.
We went to Mexico first. Mexico has very high levels of arsenic.
Arsenic causes a variety of diseases, including diabetes type 2 and cancer.
The reason municipalities continue to supply water with arsenic is because there is no economical way to remove it in volume.
Currently, what people do is they take a big 19-liter, 4-gallon jug.
Pues es un poco incómodo para ellos, aparte que el garrafón, una muchacha o una señora y pues tiene que venir en un carrito, si no, no puede.
They go down, they put in their 10 pesos, they stick it in the machine and splash, out comes 19 liters and 50 pounds. A 50-pound barrel of water. They got to find a way of getting it back to their homes, and sometimes it's over a mile.
So having a device with a very low cost and energy efficient water heating system was a big deal for them.
We have a water cooler system in home. WaterCure is a fully integrated water purification system that takes out all the pathogens, all the chlorine, and all of the indigenous issues such as arsenic and fluoride.
What we do at TWI is treat it right after it comes into your home, before you use it for cooking and drinking, and it is the lowest cost alternative to providing safe, healthy water to you and your family.
Cuando pasa por el sistema o el tratamiento que ustedes están ofreciendo, pues la norma baja a menos .001. O sea, no, casi no existe el arsénico. Lo elimina completamente. Pues eso sería formidable, ¿no? Oye, ¿saben qué? Desaparece el cáncer.
We have a very simple construct of what we have to accomplish in each country where we go. We have to analyze the water problems, we have to solve them, and then we have to create a distribution system that makes sense inside of that country.
Well, there's a scale out to other BOP communities, both adjacent to the ones you start in, but then other parts of the world as well.
Many of the solutions that we now employ in Mexico can be solutions in part for the issues that are in Africa, because the issues that are in Mexico, pathogens and bacteria, arsenic and fluoride in the groundwater, are prevalent in many parts of Africa.
In the northern part of Nigeria, where water is a big issue, they have absolutely almost no rainfall. It's a desert out there. There are no rivers, so what they have is a lake, and that lake is shared by camels, it's shared by, all animals. You see this person one day, going to fetch water, and the very next day you hear that they feel ill with cholera, and the next day after that they're dead.
I couldn't believe the primitive methods that people use to clean water. Literally, I saw one gentleman, he took his sleeve of his shirt, and he felt that that was going to be sufficient to take all the impurities out of the water. So what he did is he put it through the end sleeve, put it into a cup, and drank it. Many people courageously provide access to drinking water. What we do is complete their mission. We clean the water so people can drink it, so people will not get waterborne diseases.
This water, this is how some people get their water in Africa. And this water kills when people drink it untreated. Now, TWI can solve this. TWI can save lives, can clean this water.
The future of TWI is really the enterprise system itself.
Our contribution really is the jobs, the entrepreneurship we're creating. We are bringing investment, we're bringing wealth into the community, and we're serving the needs of the poor.
For them, it's not just to be part of a business or help to design something. It's deeper. It's like an opportunity to change their lives.
I think we have to mix soul and science together and try love instead of fear. We're dealing with each other, and we have to deal with the elements in one of the most valuable commodities on this planet, which is water.
I want clean water for my country.
I need clean water.
I need clean water.
Yo necesito agua limpia.
We all need clean water.
¡Yo quiero agua limpia!
I'd just like to spend 2 more minutes thanking the terrific team that has joined us around the world. This is going a little fast, but here we go. I'm sorry. Let me just thank those people and thank you. But this is our board of advisors, and they're very, very helpful, and all of them are very, very active in our company and our management. And I want to close by a couple of quotes. We, of course, have future products and plans to make water products really foolproof, so we have automatic shut-off valves, et cetera. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to finish, if I can get this there, okay? All right, well, we went beyond it. That's okay. I'm going to read you a couple of quotes because I really love this particular quote. John F. Kennedy, and this is about all of us, because we really implore all of you to join the Water Initiative. It's all part, Jordan and ourselves. We said we're working together. We're all together in a wonderful cause. But John F. Kennedy, way back when, he said, anyone who can solve the problems of water will be worthy of 2 Nobel Prizes, one for peace and one for science. People say that future wars will be fought over water. They've been fought for centuries over water. The Roman word rival means the people across the river. Ariel Sharon, in his memoirs about the Six-Day War in 1987, said, well, this war is not about boundaries, it's about water. The Assyrians had diverted the Jordan River. This is an ever-present. Look at Atlanta, Georgia. Look at all these cities. Look at the Colorado River. Look at the Rio Grande. Look at the Mekong. It's all over the world. We need to address this now. One of the recipients last night said we need to work on this right now, and we clearly do. So I want to repeat one more time that just as cell phones help billions to leapfrog telecommunications, point-of-drinking solutions will leapfrog water treatment plants and bottled water. Together, we can achieve the impossible. We just need to break it into possible steps. The late and great Steve Jobs. Let's go invent tomorrow instead of worrying about what happened yesterday. Thank you.